Your ability to endure emotional pain is like a muscle. It must be exercised in order to grow. This past month, I've been bedridden from a spinal injury, and although it was by far the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life physically, what I experienced mentally and emotionally completely altered my life forever. From what I thought was a small sports-related injury from the gym, turned out to be a bruised tailbone, which also came with a huge slew of other health-related issues that arose all at once. And because of this, not only did I go to the ER multiple times, I consumed an excessive amount of narcotics and had to teach myself to walk again. It got me thinking. Our ability to endure emotional pain works as a muscle. Just as we go to the gym to exercise our physical body and put stress on our muscle fibers to make it grow, we must do the same mentally to become mentally tough. Mental toughness stems from using opportunities in everyday situations in that moment. It's not a designated time like going to the gym. It's moments where you decide things like, in this moment of crisis or high levels of emotion, I'm going to consciously choose to not act out of character and mirror the chaos that I'm experiencing. Or when things don't go my way, it's not the end of the world. I can realign myself to the path that I want to follow. And one of the most profound things I learned was how temporary human emotions are. During this experience, I was feeling level 10, 12, like far beyond the threshold of pain I thought I would ever experience. But now, looking back, even minutes after experiencing that pain, I remember it hurt really, really bad, but I can't feel that exact feeling or level of pain. My mom describes it as, it's kind of like childbirth. Women go through this excruciatingly high level of pain, but it all dissipates once you have your child, and you end up wanting to have more kids because you don't exactly remember how bad the physical pain was. So it brings in the question, if you were given the choice to experience emotional pain or not, which would you go with? Obviously, you choose not to experience emotional pain. But why do we choose to relive certain situations and ruminate on things mentally and even be concerned about events that haven't even occurred? There's no need to voluntarily experience these things twice or even opting into an experience that wasn't even going to happen. It was something that you made up in your head. I know for me, I was caught up on timelines. I was often concerned with how long I'll be able to endure this intense physical pain, or the certainty of other things that I had planned on my social community. But that was a burden that I was voluntarily choosing to take on, and like always, majority of the things that I was concerned about pain-wise or socially didn't come to fruition. But there were two benchmarks within my time being bedridden, and that was the short-term stage versus the long-term stage. In the first half of the month, I was experiencing extreme levels of pain, but it was so early on and there was so much hope, and I'm such a positive person and I know this is all going to be temporary. And in addition to all of this, I've done so much work to have such a very strong level of mental toughness. So although I was experiencing the absolute worst physical pain of my life, oddly enough, I was the happiest I've ever been. And I knew it was time to recognize and be the most grateful for the things that had been going right, because all the things that were going so wrong. I knew that I was going to take away something so powerful because the pain was so great, which would inevitably get me closer to the person that I aimed to be. And so instead of choosing to think, well, why is this happening to me? I switched the perspective to, although I didn't deserve for this to happen to me, what can I take away from it since it already is? And that perspective took me very far. But when it was the second half of the month, considering I had no idea when all of it would end, and the pain was still at the same level, it was so much harder to maintain this level of hope. So this stage reminded me how human I was. As much as pain is unwanted in this life, whether felt inside of us or externally, it reminds us to feel is what makes us alive. If I cried, laughed, coughed, or even moved just a mere inch too far, my entire glute would seize up in this agonizing pain, like barbed wire was wrapped around my entire leg, being cinched tighter and tighter. And this happened multiple times a day. I'd have to physically restrain myself from crying or even reacting, because the act of me crying or unconsciously moving to react would make the pain even worse. I was pleading, begging to God that I didn't have to wake up in the middle of the night and use the bathroom, which magically was the same time the narcotics wore off, if they even worked. I had to physically drag myself to the bathroom and claw my way back up to my bed. And I realized that type of pain, you can't radically positivity and optimism your way through. Like, that level of misery is completely different than what I anticipated. Despite all of that, I knew in that moment, nobody goes through life unscathed. So even then, after I clawed my way back up to my bed, using my minimal strength I had left in my body, after allowing myself to ever so slightly sob into my pillow with tears, you ever have tears rolling into your ears? In that moment, I pleaded to God. And in the height of all that pain, never once did I utter the words, "Why me?" or "Why is this happening to me?" It was more like ease the suffering and the pain type of thing. But looking back, despite what I was going through, this way of thinking allowed space for gratitude. Because there are some points that we'll experience in this life where the burden is so large. The only way to truly get relief is to just keep moving. Because if we move when we are at our lowest, we'll soon look up and time goes on and we realize that emotionally we're no longer stuck in the same place that we once were. And simultaneously, we'll have cultivated an environment that matches. In this long-term period where I was unsure when the end would come, I had to keep reminding myself in that moment, nothing lasts forever. No emotion lasts forever. I'm not a victim and I'm not going to pity myself. And although the latter half was a lot more human, with more fatigue of the situation and more desire for autonomy and the ability to have just a glimpse of how long I'd have to endure this, but it was essential for me to stay present. I focused on getting through the morning, then getting through the afternoon, then getting through the night, and this allowed for more opportunities to have a good day. Instead of thinking something bad happened in the afternoon and made me think my entire day was terrible, if I had a non-painful, uneventful morning and then an okay afternoon, well, that's a pretty successful majority of the day. Within each day, I get an unlimited amount of chances to start over. If I was down on myself and had a moment where I wasn't acting mentally tough, which will happen and oftentimes is essential because it makes you feel better to express your disdain, but at any moment, I can decide the patterns and behaviors that I've exemplified before, I don't have to let them continue. And this opens the door. But to keep it open and walk through it, you have to commit. You have to hold yourself accountable and remind yourself in that moment you're moving forward. This is not forever. And I'm also not going to waste my energy on staying in a negative place or creating one that doesn't even exist in the first place. In moments of enduring heavy burdens, or even no burdens at all, we must remember that we don't know when our end date is. So similarly to the pain that I felt, I didn't know when that was going to end. But the beauty is we get an unlimited amount of chances to start over until our end comes. So honestly think to yourself, do I truly take advantage of the opportunities that I'm given? And so truly, we have a lot more power than we think. I mean, time and time again, perspective and the stories we tell ourselves remain our biggest asset. And it's not that mistakes weren't made. Rather, addressing it, realigning ourselves, and then possessing a short memory of these mistakes allow us to move forward a lot quicker. Without health, you have nothing. And in this day and age, it's so easy to look at others and wish and even alter ourselves to emulate the beauty that we see in other places. But when I couldn't sit up without assistance and desired the normalcy of having working legs, I realized how unnecessary it was to be consumed by my vanity. So Sydney, what did it feel like being bedridden for a month? It was terrible. What type of question? But let me tell you this, nobody, and I mean nobody, will leave this earth unscathed from mental, emotional, or physical pain. But the question is, what will you do in that moment? And will you remember that you have an unlimited amount of chances to start again?